Throughout my life, I had yearned to experience the serene beauty of a tropical paradise, like the places you see in breathtaking images, often depicted in screensavers and calendar pages. In the winter of 2018, I finally had the chance to make that dream come true. Little did I know that a shadow would be cast over that vacation, still haunting my memory today. Upon our arrival at Koh Samui Island in Thailand, we were greeted with a sense of awe. The journey from the US had been quite hectic, with long flights and a few layovers along the way. However, the sight of those pristine white waves crashing beneath the brilliant Thai sun made every bit of the effort worthwhile. Around midday, the beaches were alive with energy of tourists relishing their vacation. Local vendors roamed the sandy stretches, peddling various treats including coconut milk, ice cream, fresh fruit juices, and one of my personal favorites, grilled corn on the cob. My wife Dawn and I found a cozy spot nestled in the shade of some palm trees, where we diligently applied SPF before laying out towels on a sun-drenched patch of sand to bask in its warmth. Following the delightful indulgence of one of the delicious grilled corns, I decided it was time to plunge into the water for a refreshing swim. Dawn, not particularly fond of swimming, especially in oceans with crashing waves, opted this time to stay behind and catch up on her tan. Meanwhile, I ventured towards the shore, taking measured steps into the deeper waters, gradually adjusting to the coolness of the ocean. The crashing waves made me feel like a child again, filled with excitement with each splash. I'd glance back at Dawn, waving my arms eagerly until she noticed and waved back. Swimming around me, others waited in anticipation for the next wave to catch. Though I am from the Midwest United States and far from any coast, my confidence in swimming stemmed from years of dedicated lessons throughout elementary and middle school. My grandfather also often let me access a large pool at our local high school that he was responsible for maintaining. The waves that day were notably large, unlike anything I had experienced on previous coastal outings. I ventured onward until the ocean floor vanished beneath me, leaving me to tread water. Each time a passing wave came, I dove into it, trying not to let it carry me back towards the shore as I wanted to go out a little farther. Also, I noticed that if I could get a little further out, I could avoid the crash of the wave. Despite being farther out in the water, I kept glancing back at Dawn, hoping to catch a glimpse of her still sitting, engrossed in her book, basking in the sun. Although it was more challenging at this distance, I noticed her looking in my direction, one hand shielding her eyes and the other waving. Noticing a trio of guys alongside me in the deep waters, I couldn't help but feel a tad surprised at how far out we were compared to the majority much closer to the shore. Despite this realization, I didn't dwell on it much, contemplating a return to shallower depths, after savoring the vastness of the open water for a while. While the waves weren't crashing as often, their substantial elevation remained a formidable force. Within seconds, I'd find myself lifted several feet above sea level, granting me a sweeping perspective, only to swiftly descend, surrounded once again by towering waves. As I glanced towards the shore, a sense of worry crept over me as I realized just how far out I had ventured. Despite the proximity of the three other guys, one of them appeared to be in distress. Initially, I mistook his shouts for excitement, but upon closer observation, it became clear he was frantically signaling for help, his arms flailing in desperation. As his companions attempted to reach him, the daunting size of the waves and the relentless current made any progress seem futile, quickly draining their energy. Despite the concerning sight of the struggling man and the huge waves, I remained strong and self-assured. Opting to conserve energy, I chose to float on my back, gradually maneuvering towards his direction. With each passing moment in the deep waters, the man's panic surged, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Despite one of his friends drawing closer to him, I remained at a distance, carried along by the unyielding force of the rip current. Understanding the increasing peril and the risk of exhaustion, I made the tough decision to commence my journey back to the shore. Despite the sunny skies, the scene took on a somber tone, as if the brightness of the day had been swallowed by a sudden darkness. Amidst the panic, an eerie sense of gloom seemed to shroud the waters, dimming its previous blue radiance. As I persisted in floating on my back and making gradual progress towards the shore, I kept a watchful eye on the struggling man and his nearby friend. With each passing moment, the gap between them closed rapidly. However, the distressed man appeared to have ceased all movement, his head now gently bobbing underwater, suggesting a state of unconsciousness. "Do you need help?" I yelled out as they approached. The assisting friend confirmed with a brief, "Please," his efforts focused on keeping the unconscious man afloat. I couldn't help but notice the unsettling sight. The man's eyes remained wide open, bloodshot, and fixated straight ahead. We exerted our utmost efforts to keep the man's head above water, but the task was challenging with the relentless crashing waves. Supporting the seemingly lifeless body of the drowned man was deeply disturbing, serving as a stark reminder of how swiftly one's fate could change. Fortunately, we were gradually approaching the shore, drawing closer to the other swimmers. By this point, I was feeling quite exhausted, eagerly anticipating the sensation of solid ground beneath my feet. With continued paddling and kicking, I finally felt the soft sand brushing against my feet. Completing the journey with the man in tow became notably easier, as we could now feel the ocean floor beneath us. Nearby swimmers had begun to take notice of the situation, hastening over to lend their aid as we approached the shore. Meanwhile, the two other companions of the man I assisted were also making their way back from deeper waters. We carefully placed the motionless man on the sand. His bloodshot eyes remained open and fixed ahead. His complexion was drained of color, his stillness suggesting an absence of life. I stood frozen for a moment, struggling to catch my breath and process the gravity of the scene unfolding before me. The friend who aided in bringing him ashore promptly initiated CPR efforts. Within moments, a crowd began to form, with several individuals stepping forward to lend assistance. Despite the collective efforts, the man lay there motionless, his gaze fixed upwards towards the sky. During the turmoil, I decided to approach Dawn, who was still laying down nearby, looking a bit puzzled by the growing crowd. I took a moment to explain the situation to her, and she was visibly shocked upon learning what had transpired. Together, we stood by, watching the crowd attentively, hopeful for any signs of the man's recovery. Sadly, despite the tireless attempts by the medical professionals who quickly came to assist, the man showed no signs of life, confirming he was dead. With the surrounding crowd still visibly shaken, I felt a strong urge to leave, wanting to distance myself from the grim scene. All I desired was to take a shower and continue with the rest of the evening, hoping to erase the memory of the ordeal and find some semblance of peace. The sight of the vast ocean and its crashing waves serves as a constant reminder of its formidable power, a sombering reminder of how quickly they can turn from beauty to peril, potentially leading to one's demise.